Hello class, this is a video tutorial on calculating the arc length and perimeter of a sector. First thing that we're going to clarify is that this is going to be calculating two different components of the same sector of a circle. What the arc length calculates, or what the arc length is only measuring or calculating the length of just that curved bit. And there's a formula for that. If you notice, it's actually very similar to the circumference of a circle, 2 pi r, but all we do is we multiply it by the fraction of what the sector represents, and we find that by taking the angle on the inside of the sector. So this is going to be an angle on the inside of the sector, and then we divide that by the total 360 of the sector. So the arc length only calculates this curve. However, the perimeter, so the entire outside of this sector, is the arc length plus these two radii lengths. Hence why we have P for perimeter is equal to the arc length calculated using this, adding 2r, because the radius here is added to get the perimeter of this sector. So let's use this. Let's use these examples to calculate and demonstrate exactly what we've shown here. So I'm going to do it in two steps. First, we're going to calculate the arc length. So I'm going to have it as arc. Okay. And the arc length of this is actually going to be just that portion there that I've highlighted in blue. In order to find that, we need to find the angle on the inside of this sector. The angle of this is actually 180 degrees, since it is a straight line. So because of this, we're going to take 180, divide 360, and multiply it by the circumference of this supposed circle. And we do that using our formula again, 2 pi r. So 2 times pi times the radius, which is again 2. And using this in our calculator, we can calculate the arc length of this sector. So we get 180 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times 2, the radius. And we get the arc length being 2.283. 2.283. Okay, which we will round off, 6.28, I don't know what I was thinking, which we will round off to 6.28 millimeters. Okay, so that is just the arc length. But if we want the perimeter, we need to have the arc length, which we've just calculated, 6.28, and we need to add this length here, which I'm now highlighting in blue. Now, since this is 2 millimeters, we need to add another 2. So we need to add 2 and 2, so which gives us 2 times 2, which gives us 4. This is going to be 4. 4 plus 6 is 10.28 millimeters. So the arc length, the dotted line, is only 6.28 millimeters. However, the perimeter, which is the arc length plus the this line here, is the arc length plus 2 lots of the radius, which gives us 10.28. let's demonstrate this once again. Here we are. So let's first find the arc length. Once again, the angle on the inside of this sector is going to be 180, since this is a straight line. So we take 180 divide 360 times that by 2 pi. I'm going to multiply this by the radius of this circle. So the radius, since the diameter is 12, the radius is going to be 6. We're going to use this value here. Using our calculator once again, we get 180 over 360 times 2 pi times 6, which gives us 18.849. Rounding this off, we get 18.85. Since it is in centimeters, we get centimeters. So, reminding you again, the arc length is only calculating this curved bit here. So the arc length, this dotted line, is 18.85. But in order for us to calculate the perimeter, which is the entire outside of this shape, we take the arc length and then we add 2 lots of the radius. So 2 lots of 6, the radius, which will give us 18.85 plus 12, which gives us 30.85 centimeters. Moving right along, once again, here we have another sector. This angle here is 90 degrees and it is on the inside of the sector. So we're going to find the arc to be 90 over 360 multiplied 2 pi times the radius of 7. Using our calculator, 90 over 360 times 2 pi times 7 gives us 10.995. Rounding this off is actually pretty tricky. It'll actually be 11.00 meters. Finding the perimeter, P, is going to be 11 plus 2 lots of the radius, 2 times 7. 11 plus 14 is going to be 25 meters. So the perimeter of this shape is going to be 25 millimeters. Moving right along. Here we are. Even though this doesn't look like a pizza slice, it is still a sector of a circle where the angle on the inside is 285. So we get the arc length being 285 over 360 times 2 pi multiplied by 5. Since the radius there is given as 5. Once again, calculator this. 285 over 360 times 2 pi by 5. 24.870. So 24.870. Rounding this off, kilometers. Calculating now the perimeter. The perimeter is our arc length, which is this entire outside bit, 0.87. Adding these 2 bits there, which gives us 2 lots of 5 24.87 plus 10, 2 times 5 is 10, gives us 34.87 kilometers. Continuing on here. Once again, this time, however, notice how the angle 205 is not on the inside, I highlighted in blue, not on the inside of the sector, but it's on the outside. To find the inside value, we have to do 360, so I'm going to label this theta. To find the value of theta, the angle on the inside, we need to do 360, take away the angle on the outside, 205. So the angle we will be using is 155. The reason for this is that since the entire circle is 360, so let me draw a dotted line now, that entire circle there is 360. Since this outside is 205, the remainder must be on the inside. So we'll find the arc length, 155 over 360 times 2 pi times the radius, 4, using our calculator, 155 over 360 times 2 pi times 4 gives us 10.821, rounding off 10.82 millimeters. Finding the perimeter, we take the arc length, which we've just calculated, and adding 2 lots of this radius here, which is 2 times 4, which is 8. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 10.82 gives us 18.82 millimeters. And lastly, just to finalize, get this last question, we will get first the arc length. Our value is on the inside of the circle already, so we get 135 over 360 times 2 pi times 9. 135 over 360 times 2 pi times 9 gives us 21.205. Rounding to 2 decimal places, we increase the value of 0 by 1, since the value behind it is 5, and we'll calculate the perimeter by taking the arc length, which is this value, adding this value and this value, which is 2 lots of 9. 21.21 plus 2 times 9 is 18, is going to be 39.21 centimeters. So I hope that gave you an insight to calculating both the arc length of a circle, of a sector, sorry, and to calculate the perimeter of a sector. Best of luck.